will check us on YouTube. All right, we are live. We've opened up the room to our White Cane conversation, and I am watching on YouTube as folks are pouring in, as Sedona Dave said, around our campfire. That's what we're doing today. We are having a campfire conversation. Let me go in and see where everyone is tuning in from. I'm going to do the tune in a little different. If you are listening, watching, and able to access your comment section on here on YouTube, let me get into that section and see. Okay, then I just want you to say here or present or whatever you want to share when I call your country. Wait till you hear the countries that we have coming in. Let me get all of our speakers on the screen as we are getting ready to get moving here. Okay, then folks can start seeing who they're hanging out with. Okay, listen to this. The countries that are represented. Oh, I've got somebody saying no video. Let me know if I just switched it. So now there should be video. Let me see if I can see it on mine. Hold on, let's see. Maybe it's a little bit delayed that I just opened up the video. Okay, let's open this up. Good times getting to know all these fun gadgets. Hold on. Home. There we are. Ah, now I hear myself. That's always fun. Okay, so back to the list of countries. This was so exciting for me when I looked at it. Okay, ready? Australia is here. Oh, good. We got folks saying they can see the video. Okay, Australia is in the house. Canada in the house. Chile is in the house. Wait for it. Croatia is here. Croatia, what is up? Ecuador is in the live stream. Egypt is here. Italy is in the house. Isn't this exciting?
This is amazing.
Mexico is here. Scotland is here. South Africa, nice. United Kingdom, and a lot from the United States. We have like United States of America. You have all different ways that people put in. Can you even imagine that? See, this is why I love doing what I get to do, because so many times, and I'm sure that, let me move over here, just our guests and myself. So many times, I mean, I've been in the world of parenting blind and low vision kiddos for almost 26 years. So they're all young adults now, right? And even though my sighted daughter says, Mom, I think you know more blind people than sighted people. Like, I think you might be right. But it still feels so many times like, is there anybody out there? I mean, we have our Monday calls in Thriving Blind Academy, and I'll share information about that organization and community later. So every Monday I get to hang out with thrivers in the blind and low vision community. But I'm telling you that one day a week, then a few days later, I'll be like, gosh, is anybody else like thinking like me and wanting to move the needle on thriving and really get out of these crisis statistics? And then we have something like this, just talking about innovative white canes. And I see people coming in from all over the world. That just shows me that everybody is there's just so many of us ready to go and be innovative and get out there and figure out ways to do the things that we want to do to design the lives that we want, as opposed to other folks telling us what our lives should be. So If you haven't figured out yet, I'm a little excited about this. If you can't access me visually, I've got my hashtag Thrive shirt on. We'll talk about merch like that another time, but I am all in. If you don't know me, I am Kristen Smedley, mom of 3 kiddos that are, as I said, are young adults. 2 were born with CRB1 LCA and have been Braille readers and white cane users for almost all of their lives. I have to admit, when I started this journey, the white cane scared me to death. To think about my little newborn eventually having a white cane in his hand, to me, that just said, so blind, story over, that's it. So I did not start my journey with him having a white cane in his hand early. It wasn't until he was outside, out front of our home, walking home from his friend's house at 3, almost 4 years old, and it had snowed while he was in his friend's house, and the entire grass and driveway were all the same color. And he ended up in the middle of the street screaming, "Mommy, help me! Mommy, help me!" In that moment, I sat on my couch and cried because that's what I do when I really make big epic fails. And then I realized I had to get over it. This kid was ready to be out there and he couldn't hold my hand for the rest of his life. Now, I am not ashamed to tell that story because I do get to follow it up with 22 years later when Michael graduated Penn State University. He actually was the commencement marshal for the School of Communications. He landed in the top 0.5% of 10,000 graduates, and he led the graduation procession. All of the kids that he out-achieved all cited behind him, and what was in his hand walking into the Bryce Jordan Center but the white cane. And he proudly had a sighted guide, a professor that helped him communicate his value and get the job of his dreams. So, wherever you are on the journey, I tell you all of that because I'm freaking proud that he did it, and you can do it too. It doesn't matter where you are on your journey right now because I started crying on my couch, afraid of this. And now watching him do all the things he does 1,000 miles from home, and connecting with people like Sedona Dave, because Michael's also hiking mountains and breaking ankles because he doesn't have the right equipment, right? And connecting with Beth because I wish that I would have known Safe Toddles way early on to get my kids moving sooner without holding my hand. And people like Mike that give us the entire framework of how we can be successful and things we need to think about to get our kiddos out there, but also all of you that are tuning in that are either wanting to go from the sidewalk to the top of the mountain with low vision or no vision, or have been kind of holding on to the couch, to someone's hand, or staying in your home when you really want to be out there being independent. So we're going to have a super fun conversation today. Like I said, if you're just coming in now, Sedona Dave has said, welcome to our campfire. We're all just hanging out in conversation. If you have questions, want to know more about something, drop it in the comments. Right there on YouTube, I'll be able to see them here, and I promise I will look over every now and again and make sure that we're answering them. You'll see some information coming across the screen, and I'll certainly put it into the comments about different communities that we're all involved in. I happen to co-host Thriving Blind Academy, where we have these conversations every Monday and can talk more in depth about this. Actually, tomorrow is our first Saturday of the month. We meet and have open Q&A, question and answer, and meeting mentors and all of that. So if you don't want to wait for me to put it in there, it's thrivingblindacademy.org. So with that, let's keep this campfire going. Let's open up great conversation. And I'm going to ask Mike Mulligan of Blind on the Move, with the ginormous following on all the different platforms on social media, to let's pull you up here at the campfire and let's talk about orientation and mobility and what it's all about.
Sure. All right. Well, I'm excited to be here, share a little bit of my experience and expertise in orientation mobility, but maybe I'll give a quick intro. So, name's Mike Mulligan. I am an orientation mobility specialist. And for those of you who've never heard what that is really it's an instructor who teaches people who are blind or visually impaired or low vision how to navigate their environment or their world. And that really varies tremendously on what the person's vision is, their ability levels, environment, all sorts of factors. So I've been doing that for about 6, 7 years. I'm also a vision rehab therapist, so that's working with people in their homes with kind of everyday daily living tasks such as cooking, cleaning, a lot of technology and things like that. But today we're talking about the white cane and give you a little overview about orientation mobility, what it is. And really, like I mentioned earlier, the goal is to help people be as safe and independent as possible in their environment. And that can mean a lot of different things. And I work primarily with adults in the state of New Hampshire and Massachusetts. And really, there are a lot of skills involved, and a big part of that is the white cane. So I like to, when I'm working with somebody, just get to know them and figure out why they might be hesitant to go outside or are bumping into things, maybe tripping over things, and figure out what tool, and we're going to talk about in this little chat here about some different options that are out there, but what kind of mobility aid or tool would be helpful to increase somebody's independence. And that's really the goal, and kind of all the skills and areas I teach in is that people would be as independent as possible and not have to rely on others as much. So that's kind of orientation mobility. And the orientation mobility, for those who don't know, the term comes from the term comes from two different words: the orientation, which is helping people know where they are in their environment. So somebody who's struggling with their vision might get turned around or disoriented, and there are skills in that area to help someone stay oriented to their environment, such as compass directions, technology, and some other skills like landmarks, finding landmarks in the environment. And then the mobility side, and that's kind of what we're talking about today with the cane, is how do you get from point A to point B safely? And the white cane, the traditional white cane, is something that provides a lot of pros. And I just want to mention those really quick and then I'll pass it off. But some of the things that there's a lot of misconceptions out there about what the white cane is and how it can help somebody. And I like to point this out, especially when I'm meeting with somebody for the first time who may be struggling with vision loss, what the cane actually does, because there's a lot of ideas out there, but knowing some of the benefits of it can be really helpful in deciding if that's a good tool to be using. And the first one is, and this one is the one I think most people think about, is detecting obstacles in a person's way. So if they're walking down the sidewalk and there's a fire hydrant kind of blocking part of the sidewalk, the white cane is designed to find that ahead of time so they don't bump into it. Another kind of benefit of the cane is detecting the little changes in terrain. And I find this benefit to be really helpful for a lot of my people I'm working with, because the little elevation change in the sidewalk, maybe a root of a tree has caused the sidewalk to come up an inch or two. That could be a real tripping hazard, and the last thing anybody wants to do is fall and get hurt. So having the cane would detect that and warn the person that there might be a tripping hazard in front of them. And then another big benefit of the white cane, and this one can be hard initially for people to feel comfortable with, is it helps make other people in the community aware that the person has some vision loss. So the cane provides that without having to always explain why you might be having difficulty navigating, getting around. So the cane can be a way of getting that extra assistance if needed. And that's also helpful for crossing streets, making drivers more aware. But really, when we're talking about the white cane, it has a lot of benefits, but for someone to be proficient with it, there really needs to be some training. And that's where meeting with an orientation mobility specialist like myself, and there's ones who also work in the school systems with the kiddos, and that's how you really learn to use the cane to its full capacity and remain safe while traveling in the environment. So there's a lot more to it, but hopefully that was a good enough overview to start here, pass it on to somebody else. But that's what I do, and that's what orientation mobility is, and kind of the benefit of the traditional white cane.
I love it. So I love that whole overview and thoughts on it. As we move into talking with Beth and safe titles for the youngest, some of our youngest cane users, Mike, thoughts on how early O&M instructors, how young do O&M instructors typically work with families and kiddos?
It really starts from the beginning. So as a O&M specialist, we're certified really from zero on uh, to work with people. So well, many times the earlier training begins or meeting with an O&M specialist begins, the better. That it just becomes part of a child's routine growing up to really start them off with that independence as much as possible.
Awesome. I bragged a little bit about my Michael, my oldest one, and of course I've got my middle child, Mitchell, right? Who, and this is for folks that are wondering, oh my gosh, but I've got the kiddo that doesn't want to use the tool. That was my Mitchell. He didn't want any parts of the white cane making him look different, or quite frankly, he's my guy that gives the most minimal effort looking to get the most maximum out of it, right? It's so funny. At the end of the day, all my kids achieve their goals. Mitchell has done the absolute least himself. He's had a staff since kindergarten, right? Now he's in this campaign, and I'm watching him with a whole campaign staff. But we kept pushing along, and getting that cane and keeping the mobility instruction, and trying to do as many incentives as possible. And he did end up at college really having to rely on it. Thoughts on for families that are struggling with that right now, or even individuals that are like, gosh, this thing is just making me too different, it's just uncomfortable. Thoughts on either pushing through, pressing through. Do you recommend that people stop for a while or keep going? What are your thoughts there?
So it really depends on the person. But for me, I work with quite a few people who are losing their vision and have never used a cane before. And there's a lot of, unfortunately, stigma out there about the cane, misconceptions. So, as an instructor, my goal is just to start slow with people. Like, let's just try it in your home. Yeah, I know you've never, like, they probably never felt one. They don't know how it works. Just try it in your home and see how you can feel the change in the terrain on the ground, or you detect some obstacles in your house, and then slowly easing into it. Over the last, just a quick story. I was working with a woman. Um, she has retinitis pigmentosa, and I met with her before she ever had a cane, and she was very hesitant to even use the cane right outside her home. But then now, after training and kind of taking it at her pace, she was able to take the commuter rail train into Boston, navigate around Boston. So she went from being so nervous about it that she didn't want to leave her house, to now being able to take the bus and the train and all these things. And but I was conscious of easing her into it too, so she made sure she felt comfortable as well.
I love it. I love that story. And my Mitchell was never so happy that we kept pushing him with mobility instruction, because when he was a senior last year at Kutztown University, an hour and a half from home, our Eagles, our Philadelphia Eagles, won the Super Bowl, and he was determined to get to the parade, and had his fraternity brothers. He said, "Get me to the train station that I know, and I will get you to the art museum from there." And sure enough, I said, "That's my Mitchell. Where there's a will, there's a way." But he was so happy and he actually spoke in one of the speeches I did. I think it was out in Mississippi, about how he did not like the tools of blindness, and he was so happy that we kept pressing him to learn how to navigate and be independent, because he was able to get to that parade and stand there amongst 1.5 million crazy Philadelphians. Still gives me a little bit of a, my heart is pounding thinking about it, but he made it there and back. So good stuff. So we'll keep pressing forward. Thanks so much. And as we think about our youngest cane users and early experiences with canes, let's move over to Beth, who's working with not only future teachers and folks in the world at University of Miami, but also with the organization Safe Toddles. So Beth, thanks for hanging out with us.
This is fabulous. I had contacted Kristen, about a month ago, and because
Mm-hmm.
I wanted to speak with her about Safe Toddles. Let me give you a little bit about my background. Um, my expertise is in learning disabilities and adolescence and reading. But Grace Ambrosakin, who created and developed the Safe Toddles pediatric belt cane. She and I have been friends since we were in our PhD programs at Vanderbilt together. So I have been with her from the very beginning of this journey of I have this fabulous idea. We need to keep safe. We need to keep children safe when they are learning to walk. And so about 2 years ago, I got on the board of Safe Toddles, and she and I have talked throughout the years about everything. And I teach a course at UM that everyone who wants to be a teacher has to take, where you talk about all the disabilities. And every time I read the chapter on blind and visually impaired kids, I get upset because they send the message out that these kids do not want to be social. They would rather sit and play by themselves. And it's not that they don't want to do this, it's that they are afraid and they don't feel safe in their environment. So that's the whole premise of Safe Toddles, is to be able to provide kids who are learning to walk, your toddlers who don't have the motor skills to hold on to a white cane, and they need to be hands free for their balance. And the white cane allows them to be safe and protected within their environment. And as you said, Kristen, to get up and walk around without having to hold somebody's hand. And this instills independence, it instills motor development, and we know it instills brain development. And we have thousands of hours of video that are on YouTube showing how these kids progress and how feeling safe and protected allows you to become mobile. Kristen, could you show the video that we have on Phoebe?
100%. Let's see my skills here. Here we go. Screen share. Here comes Phoebe.
Born blind, when Phoebe was 3, every step was scary, with nothing in front to protect her. At 7 years old, she still walks like it's her first time.
Okay, walk into mommy. Walk to mommy. Yes! Oh my God! Oh wow! 3 steps, Phoebe! Oh my goodness! Mommy's crying!
Then Phoebe got the Safe Toddles belt cane. It moves with her, always in front, always protecting her. For the first time, she could walk safely all on her own. 2 months later, Phoebe crossed the street by herself, confident, independent, nothing holding her back.
Want to swap for a bit?
Blind children thrive when they can extend their touch 2 steps ahead, helping with balance, safety, and information gathering. For more information, go to safetoddles.org. Born blind.
Love it. Love it.
So you can see from this video that it gets the kids up. We have videos of kids in gyms, in museums, where they are now running around because they feel safe and they are able to act more like sighted kids and be independent and be out there. And it's, to me, and I've always said this to Grace, I think it's one of the greatest inventions of the decade, if not the last 20 years, for visually impaired kids, because we are seeing these children be able to step away from the hand holding and move on their own and get out in the world and be social and develop all those skills that we know need to be developed. And one good thing is the pediatric belt cane is covered by most insurance. And if you get it on their IEP plan or their IFS plan, then it's covered by IDEA. So it's a win-win in getting these kids out and about, and we just need to get the word out to people that this works, and it really helps them maintain and get a safe, protected independence.
Awesome. Hey, Beth, can you do me a favor for folks that maybe weren't able to access visually or weren't able to, have a big enough screen? Can you describe what that whole system, the belt cane looks like and what it does?
Right. It fits around by Velcro around their waist. You have a belt, and it's connected to this belt, and it is in a U form, and it's in front of them. So they can walk independently without having to hold on to it. They can hold on to it, but they don't have to. And it moves with their body. And it's about 2 feet in front of them. So they get a good 2 steps before there's a drop off, or if they're going to hit a wall, or if they're going to run into another person. Just like sighted people, you see the person, so you stop. This provides that boundary, hands free, for kids who, let's say, have intellectual or physical disabilities along with visual impairment. You're getting with some of the more severe kids, but you're getting them up and around, and it protects in front of them. You can, as they graduate, some of the kids say, I'm tired of the belt, let me just use it with my hands. And then they tell us eventually, oh, I'm ready for the white cane.
Okay.
And so it's not replacing the white cane. It is a tool to help develop, as Mike was saying, these white cane skills. And then when they're comfortable with that, they can move into the white cane as they get older. We do, however, have some adolescents that are using it and finding this newfound freedom. And it has been amazing watching the development of this and all the kids that it's impacted. We have kids using this from around the world.
Wow.
And our goal is just to make sure everybody knows about this. It's an option, that parents are telling teachers and O&M people about this cane and what it can help do for toddlers.
I'll tell you what, I'm sitting here like smiling like a goofball mom, because I'm remembering back to my Michael, of course, firstborn, he wanted to walk across the room. He was always standing at the busy tables, and spinning stuff and water tables and all. But when he wanted to go across the room, I was so nervous for him. And we had this big, like one of those, the family room connected to the kitchen. So it was a big space, And I remember with that, he had like that traditional little first walking toy that had like, you could sit and play
Yes.
with stuff, right? But it was so light, and he would just constantly, he's falling over. And I was so nervous to have him try on his own. So I don't know where I got the idea, or somebody maybe in a mom's group of us knucklehead, brand new moms, all exchanging ideas that like, whatever. I remember I took the busy thing out of the front and I duct taped 2 sacks of flour around it to make it heavier, because he was pushing so hard. I thought he was going to have a concussion, right? And I thought, when I first saw the Safe Toddles game, I thought, well, now that looks a little more intelligent than this kid pushing 2 giant sacks of flour with duct tape around. That would have been way more that would have also given him, I can imagine, much better, and Mike, you can chime in here, it probably would have given him better transition to a cane skills than going from mom's sack of flour and my hand to the white cane.
Yeah, I think if you can develop those skills for the white cane even before they're ready for it, that's definitely positive. So that way the transition's much easier. Yeah.
Awesome. Beth, thanks so much for all of that. Okay, we're going to switch gears and advance a couple of years to going from little 1-year-old sack of flour and Safe Toddles to let's climb some mountains. And I say that, I know that some parents just took a really big gasp of air, like, wait a second, my kiddo is I'm just trying to get them through kindergarten safely. And now we're going to leap into mountain hiking and off-road. Yes, we are. Because as somebody told me very early on when Michael was very little, she said, you will get there, but keep your mind open all along the way and let him just get out there and take one risk after the other. And soon he'll be on his way up a mountain like Eric Weimeyer. And I go, not if I have anything to do with it. But let's move over along our fireside chat here to Sedona Dave. What's up, man?
Hey everyone, Sedona Dave here. Hey Kristen, thank you so much for this amazing opportunity. What I've been witnessing over the past, say, half hour, really fascinating bridging of so many aspects of our community. What Mike was talking about, having a cane in front of us, the shame that now I'm exposed and everybody knows. vanity, my goodness. Who doesn't remember the first time we had that ridiculous white cane in front of us on Main Street? And it's painful. Another topic we're addressing today is that we are finally, we're not satisfied with sitting on the couch watching Flintstones reruns. We're developing tools for the toddlers to get up and go, and these tools are really bridges from something that a toddler, a 0 to 3, can use to a cane. It's that transition from a tricycle to a bicycle. It's a natural progression of developing skill sets. And I think discussing this in the blind and low vision community or in a forum is really, really important for developing skills, developing skill sets, and developing the tools that can support us in this growth process. Kristen, as you're talking about Mitch and his resistance to that ridiculous white cane, as we all know, where was I going with this? He's a guy, he's a dude. Mitch is a dude. We're guys. We've got pride. We've got that Y chromosome that gets in our way all the time. As you were talking about him today, I had this amazing vision in my head of learning to drive. You take some guy who's taking driving lessons in an Escort or some ridiculous small economy car. How cool? Not. All right, so now let's go take some driving lessons in a Jeep Renegade or a Cherokee or a Hummer or something cool that can sink its tires into something aggressive and make a statement of, I'm cool. This is good. I've got potential. Might make a difference. Going from some inane white stick to, I can get behind this. I'm proud of displaying this white cane in front of me because it shows that I've got it. I can do what the sighted community can do where they can. And I'm not ashamed. I'm not hiding behind this white stick. All that being said, I get to be Sedona Dave, the developer, the founder of A Werewolf Gear and See Sedona Blind Adventures. And really the core or the premise of my operation is to get the blind community out to where we want to be. And yet, going back to the analogy of learning to drive, the white cane is awesome for the street. It gives us, as we were discussing, obstacle detection, terrain changes, the awareness from the sighted community, some navigational skills. That's great for a cane. In an initial, how do we get going on this new world of blindness? But it doesn't end there. That's where we get to learn our skills, how we get to learn how to ambulate through a sighted community while not being able to see, how to cross streets, how to detect obstacles and tripping hazards. But we don't have to stop there. And as you have slightly alluded to, let's go climb some mountains. All right, there's nothing that says that the blind community cannot go to the parks and playgrounds and beaches and off roads and the wilderness of Arizona or wherever we want to be. What's different? We need obstacle detection. We need terrain change identification. We need navigation. We need support. We need a little bit of support and balance because we're not on nice, smooth concrete and marble floors of shopping malls. And O&Ms like Mike are always wanting us to go through life with a modicum of grace. Well, for me out here in the backcountry of Arizona, grace is not falling face first into a cactus plant. And I need that support. So let's get away from the Prius and get into the Jeep out on the trails with a cane that can serve our needs off-road, a cane that can actually be leaned on. What do we need? Support, strength, balance. Maybe use it as a trekking pole for fording rivers. But to take that next step and take a cane and beef it up so that we can have confidence, safety, empowerment, independence, all these great words that get us off that couch and back into society for what is going to give us meaning and fulfillment in our lives. Again, we just need the right tools, and it's about time. So with our all-terrain cane, that has actually gotten the second blindiac to summit Mount Kilimanjaro just by ambulating solo, is what the potential of these canes can do. Go climb not just mountains, tallest mountains in Africa. All right, wow. This is where we're going. This is what we can do. There are no limitations. In the city, we do have the street version of the all-terrain cane called the Urban Explorer that'll handle the challenges of the urban environment, tripping hazards, cobblestones, catch basins, car doors, belligerent people. It gives us an opportunity to stay upright and safe. That's the premise behind me and my company, and I am elated to be part of a conversation to introduce concepts, to empower the community, to provide knowledge of what tools are out there to give us that fulfilled life. That being said, I'm going to pass the talking stick on to
wait, I don't even know if you know this, Dave, but I am such a Jeep freak, and you keep mentioning Jeeps as like, let's go up to the cool version, and I'm like Jeep waving all by myself here in my in my studio.
Yeah. And really, what does it take to grok or embrace the cane? We hate the thing until we realize it's giving us that. It's the great equalizer. We can now go onto Main Street. Okay, so now here's the cane. What's going to make it better? Potential. Mm-hmm. It can do more stuff. It can keep me safer. It can get me out there more. It's not like, you're going to get a tiny little chainsaw because that's what you need to cut a branch. You get a big saw because when you need it and you don't have it, that's when you're in trouble. So go big, go strong, go places.
And that's one of the things with the pediatric belt cane is we have videos where kids are running around the park.
Yes.
And they are running around. It just amazes me how you get the right tool and all of a sudden, wow, they act like normal kids. What a shock.
They thrive.
Because the textbooks say they don't want to be like that, but they do. And it thrills your heart to see them out there running and playing and going anywhere that they want to. And that's a huge benefit to having all of these different inventions and trying to continually, how do we better the tool, and that's going to help visually impaired people do whatever they want to do. Mm-hmm. And I just think it's fabulous.
I couldn't agree more. It's the fear. That's why the blind kids are sitting at their desks and everybody's playing. Is it's not that they don't want to. It's the fear. The fear of social acceptance. The fear of getting knocked down or hurt or their cane broken and getting yelled at by someone because they have a broken cane. It's the fear, and if they can just engage confidently without that barrier.
Well,
now they get to be kids.
Anybody. Again. Yeah, when you feel safe in your environment, you are yourself, you're out and about, and you're doing everything that you want to do.
Love it. It's interesting too. I think one of the things to think about also is what I love about all of you and the work that you do and bringing new options to folks all the time is all humans are different, right? I mean, I'm a mom of 3 humans, and they, if I wasn't there when they arrived into the world, I would wonder what all the different planets where they came from, and they're not related. They are so different. I mean, so much so that it seems so opposite. My 2 blind sons loved their preschool that was on a farm. They were outside. They were with animals. My daughter came along and she was like, oh, that's a hard no. That is not school. Please sit. She wanted to go to the Catholic preschool where they sat at a table and wrote all day. Like that was her dream situation. But the boys wanted to be out there and explore. Now, Carissa went on to be an athlete and she's out and about and everything. but they're all just so different. So having options for the unique styles and interests. And now, does everybody that is blind or low vision want to get on a mountain trail and climb it? Maybe not. However, coming off of a sidewalk, or some of these, like we moved, I'm looking out my window like anybody knows what I'm looking at. When we moved from a planned community with sidewalks that were very safe to, in, as my Mitchell said, the boondocks of the country where there aren't sidewalks and you're navigating some really weird terrain, a cane like that. Now, no, he's not on a mountain trail, but it certainly helps being out here
Yeah.
in the country, right? So it's all different kinds. I want people to think about the different scenarios. And here's an interesting question to that point. I'm looking in the chat, and let's get everybody's input on this. My daughter is 4 and works with O&M. She has some central vision, and oftentimes she'll tell me she doesn't need her white cane. Is that normal behavior in her? I think that's all a resounding yes. There's a lot of thumbs up. Mike, what do you think on that?
Yes, that is a very common response, especially with the children who may have some usable vision. I don't think the reasoning's there for them to understand that they might not be able to see everything, and very common. Yeah, no, that's normal.
Yeah, and I found, and maybe others have too, my boys, they could memorize surroundings like super fast. They were even involved in this clinical trial where there was a maze and they were trying to, figure out different levels of lighting, and kids like my boys, a lot of them with LCA, they're just so smart and they adapt so fast and they memorize, and they had to keep switching things around. So my boys were so good at memorizing surroundings that Mitchell was like, what do I even need this thing for? I know where everything is. And I'm like, but what if somebody leaves a box in the hallway of the school, right? Now we got to tell the janitors to move out of the way. Like, now there's too many people involved, right?
Yeah.
Although we did used to joke that, the handicap sign, like not the handicap sign, but the universal sign for a blind person. You see the silhouette and the cane is out in front. I said, Mitch, everyone that grew up with you is going to think that a blind person is supposed to have the cane behind them, because he would drag it, as opposed to using it. But, and I'm going to say baby steps here, like the bare minimum was he had to have it in his hand, and he was accomplishing having it in his hand. And then we realized as he got to middle school, and then high school, that his school was so big, he did start using it when he needed it and needed the confidence and wanted to go very quickly through those hallways, because Mitchell can't do anything slow or not be the first person. But yeah, I think that all of us have experienced that with, yes, it is 1000% normal if she doesn't want to use it all the time.
Yeah, it's actually a very, very common mindset for RPs, because we do lose our periphery and have just central. I firsthand, we're very cocky, we're very arrogant when it comes to seeing. We see everything because we paint that picture, and we see everything until we break toes. And at some point, light dawns on old Marblehead. At some point, you got to say, Dave, I don't see, and just put the full thing in my hand until it feels comfortable and natural. And when I'm on the street without it, I don't feel right. That for me was when I adopted I need this, when I just emotionally or physically didn't feel safe without it. But it's a very common, it might be condition specific. I know it's very common for RPs, but hang in there, you got this.
Or try the Safe Toddles cane, where she can be hands-free when she does it. Because a lot of times with the little kids, it's the mobility issue of, I'm learning to walk and now I've got to hold a cane. Sighted people don't have to grow up or learn to walk holding a cane. And when you bring in the Safe Toddles cane, they can do it hands-free. And it does help. It might not help their embarrassment if it's an embarrassment issue, but once they get up and around, like you said, it is, man, I can get up and be independent. I love this thing. So, yeah.
let me just, I was just switching things coming across. I have everybody's websites that are streaming across the bottom for more info. And for those of you that are intently watching and listening and not paying any attention to that, it'll be in all of the after emails. We'll have links to everybody, and you can go in and connect with all of our speakers on social media to learn more. One thing that I realized recently, and we can talk about this a little bit. I just realized in the past several weeks of being, my son Mitchell is now running for school board. And look, when he decided to do this, I said, please tell me that your campaign is not about no homework, because if we're still fighting that battle, I'm not helping. Right. But anyway, he's actually running for school board in the district where they were so supportive and had mobility instruction and Braille instruction and all. And then he wants to help scale that success for other kids, for all students. Right. But I always said for so long when the kids were young, I didn't like going to new places or places that did not either know us or had never seen a blind person before, because I couldn't stand the look on people's faces about the white cane and the pity party and the shock and all of that. But I have to tell you, I was literally having a conversation the other day with folks because I said, I'm on the campaign trail with Mitchell now once a week. He goes out 6 days a week. I go out with him once a week, knocking on doors and meeting the community. And we had one person in the hundreds that I experienced. Mitchell's met thousands of people. One person gave a disgusted look at the white cane. Really? Everybody, clearly that woman has some stuff going on in her world, and that's, Mitchell let it roll right off his back. He's like, she's got more things to worry about than my white cane, clearly. But I noticed that, and I talked to other people that are knocking on doors with Mitch. There is such a cool curiosity, and well, that's interesting. And then as soon as Mitchell is so confident and so independent standing at someone's front door, for me, I was like, ooh, that is so out of my comfort zone. Not for him. He has so much confidence and independence because of that tool that he then connects with folks in a conversation and they get to experience all that is Mitchell. And I think, as I was thinking about this the past couple of days, I don't know all those years ago if folks really had pity party and fear on their face, or if that was me that was still so in that, oh, I don't like this mode. And that's what I was feeling. Do you guys, any thoughts on that?
I do, Kristen, if I could dive right in, because it's a very raw reaction. My perspective on that, and this happens with me and my wife Deb all the time, where she'll be like, that hiker just gave you a really dirty or glaring look. I didn't see it. I'm blind. I don't care. What I hear on occasion, and I'm not sure if this translates, is Deb's sensitivity to what we're doing, or even a hypersensitivity to the reactions we get out there. If someone looks a second time, what was that look? It's almost getting defensive, or what's your issue, when it really could be, mine or hers, that, yeah, we're out doing this. We don't need your help or approval, or your dirty or comments or looks or whatever. What we're coming up with is, depending on our mindset on that hike or our moods du jour, we might be projecting those feelings onto others, and they might be saying, wow, way to go, kid. And I might take that as, watch out over there, or some other comment. So we've learned on the trails to just take it all, honestly, with humor. Whatever is given to us, we reflect as humor and let it go. I'll look. Deb, last time we were out hiking, she announced, I've got a blind guy behind me, and the guy was like, oh no. And we thought that was the funniest damn thing ever. Oh no.
Oh no.
So the first thing out of my mind was, don't worry, I woke up like this. So make them laugh and life goes on. But it could be our interpretation of what's going on, for what that's worth. Again, you can have your talking feather back.
Oh, I love it. Mike, any thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think, when I'm working with somebody and they're just getting a cane, I kind of try and tell they're going to come across some experiences that may be negative. People will say things that they shouldn't. But most of the time, people are either just curious or they want to be helpful. They just never had the opportunity or any experience. So I even think for myself, like if I were to meet somebody with maybe some sort of disability that I've never worked with, how would I come across in how I interacted with them? And it might just be curiosity. And I have young kids, and if they know what a cane is now, but for other things, they're curious. They're not trying to be a certain way, and it could be misconceived sometimes, if the person hears their question they might have. But, I try and encourage people that, even 95% of the people who are walking down the sidewalk are getting out of your way. You might not see that, but it might be the one person who's looking the other way that you bump into and you get frustrated, and they might not even have done it on purpose. Maybe they're talking to their kid or something's going on. But when we get it's hard to, I could say that, but it's hard to necessarily put that in action when it happens to somebody. But I try and at least encourage people that people in general mean well. They just don't really understand or know how to help. But there's always the really negative case, and you just got to let that go, which is much easier said than done. But that will come across sometimes too.
I think that's a great point, Mike. What it made me, all of a sudden it popped into my head, when the blind people have their seeing eye dogs, everybody wants to talk to them about their seeing eye dog because there's a connection.
Mm-hmm.
Nice. I can go up, I can meet them, I can talk about their dog. We have this connection. There's not a connection to the white cane. You can't go up and say, "Oh, what a cool white cane."
Interesting.
So I think what it does is people don't know how to approach, and maybe the look that's on their face is, "Oh, I'd like to say hi. I'm not sure what," but it just that seeing eye dog gives you an in.
Yeah.
And so I'm wondering if that's a lot of what's going on. And this is, I'm an outsider to this, but that just popped into my head because it gives you an in. And you see people do that with people that are in wheelchairs. "Oh, your dog." And they always have to say, "Don't touch my dog. It's a service dog." But it gives a reason to interact and talk to a complete stranger.
Very interesting perspective.
Great point. A great point where a dog is a sentient, a soul, easy and happy and fun to pet. The cane is a stick. Where's the emotionality of that? That's brilliant thought on that. Thank you.
I'll tell you what, with our family, and we're just a little bizarre. I have 4 brothers, and all of us are like best friends, and all the grandkids are the greatest friends. And we do, Christmas Eve at my parents' and a huge beach vacation every year where everybody makes it a priority. So when we get together, everybody's just very accepting. If there's curiosity over the canes or braille, whatever. My one nephew, we were a little worried about him because until he was 12, he didn't think that the boys were blind. He missed the memo. We were like, oh boy, I don't know if he's getting a scholarship. But anyway, because they just do all the things. But I remember years ago when they were all little, we had a big anniversary party in my parents' backyard for them. And I was in charge of all the games, right? And I completely forgot to grab a stick for limbo. And the boys are just like, here we go. Like we had Michael was the tallest, so his cane was the longest, and that was the limbo stick. And everybody just went with it. Like it just was stuff. And my mom was like, is this inappropriate? And I go, I don't know, but it's working. Like they've just, to that point of, like a dog people can relate to. And then, hey, the cane was never this thing in our life. Although Carissa has embraced like when we're trying to get through somewhere really quickly and she's out of patience, she'll go, look, boys, get those sticks out straight in front. We got a crowd to get through. And then they get real dramatic using them and everybody jumps out of our way. And I'm like, oh, see, that's brilliant. Okay, there's a few more questions before we wrap up. Here, this is Dorica from the Bahamas. My daughter used the Safe Titles cane, and it helped her tremendously in navigating her space and giving her confidence to move about.
Yes.
Nice.
And I know Dorica well. It's great to see you here, because she has been tuning in and been a part of Thriving Blind Academy for years. And I mean, the strides that her daughter has made, and I am not surprised at all that she invested in the Safe Toddles cane to help that progress along. And I use the word invest, because watching folks invest in our kiddos and in yourselves, to have the tools, the mindset, the community, tuning in now, right? Or if you were out there thriving and are watching this later, getting information to go out there. And what, I wrote it down, Dave. You said to not be satisfied sitting on the couch watching Flintstones cartoons.
Yes.
Reruns.
You did yourself, and I was real happy to hear it, because I was a Flintstones kid.
It's what we are.
I love it. Okay, here's a few more. I think hate the cane is a narrative we need to dig deeper. If something isn't working because it's too hard, it can be a good reason to hate it. 100,000%. Facebook post about a second grader refusing to swing. Let's understand what's happening. I absolutely love that. I absolutely love that. Yes, let's dig deeper and find out what's underlying. And for me, that's what I'm realizing all these years later. It was me that was having the stories I was telling myself and not necessarily the reactions. Okay, when is it time to introduce the belt cane with kiddos who have multiple impairments? Thoughts on that?
As soon as they want to start walking and trying to get up and move, do it immediately, because it's going to provide them, get that motor, their motor skills going, their brain going. It's been designed for the youngest of young. Typical kid starts walking at what, around a year and a half.
Mm-hmm.
I have no children. I don't know.
Yeah.
But
Right.
so as soon as they're able to start walking, use the Safe Toddles cane.
Love it. Okay, this has been absolutely tremendous. I knew we were going to have a good time. And all of a sudden, I'm like, oh my gosh, we're coming
I
up
know.
on
I'm like, it's been an hour already.
I know. Hey, look, this campfire could go all night. Let's do some just a final word. Let everybody know where they can give a little quick summary and where we can find you all. Dave, you wanna start the goodbyes?
Sure, we'll dive right in. Thank you. You can get all sorts of information on our canes, shirts, wares, all sorts of great stuff at awarewolfgear.com. And that's AWAREWOLFGEAR.com. Again, super strong, supportive mobility canes to get us where we want to be. Sedona Dave, what an opportunity to be here with you all. Thank you so very much.
Awesome. Thanks, Dave. Mike, how about you?
Yeah, it's great being with you all. Yeah, I'm on a lot of the social media channels, Blind on the Move, but probably the best way if you want to reach me directly is email. So that's mike@blindonthemove.com. It's hard to navigate all the social media where messages come in and stuff. So if you have any questions, feel free to email me. I'm happy to answer the best I can. So mike@blindonthemove.com. And It's great being with you all. Yeah.
Beth?
I would go to safetoddles.org, the website, and from that you can contact Grace and the people that work with the organization, and they will get right back to you.
Love it. Love it. And if you'd like to join the community of thrivers that cheer each other on and work through challenges, and I'm going to say, give each other some tough love sometimes to get out there and get these tools and do all the things, go to thrivingblindacademy.org. You can also message me. I'm on all the platforms, Kristen Smedley on pretty much everything. And it's Kristen with an I-N. It's the right way to spell it.
Yes.
With an I-N. This has been tremendous. Look, you guys jumped right in when I invited you to have this conversation. I love the spirit of all of you, that it is about figuring it out, right? Let's have tools to help everybody figure it out and kind of building the plane as we're flying. I love it. And for all of the support that you're giving families to completely turn the tide on the stories that are out there and have more stories of thriving. So thanks everybody for spending your Friday afternoon with me. And I look forward to seeing you the next time.